Every year, a committee of graduating seniors selects the university's commencement speaker. So it is now my privilege to invite Brian Toll, a graduating senior, who will introduce our commencement speaker. Brian?
On behalf of the Senior Council and Commencement Speakers Selection Committee, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce you to our most distinguished guest speaker, Mr. DeMaurice Smith. In his position as Executive Director of the National Football League Players Association, Mr. Smith is the lead voice of the players for whom we root for on Sundays. After being in his position as Executive Director for only 2 years, he has earned the respect of his constituents by serving as a visionary leader in a pivotal time for the National Football League, a time when the decisions that will soon be made regarding the rights of players and franchise owners will impact the game of football for years to come and affect the lives of millions of fans and some of our more athletic alumni who work on the gridiron as NFL employees. Today, we are honored to have him speak to us on this very special occasion. An accomplished athlete in his own right, DeMaurice ran varsity track and field for his alma mater, Cedarville University in Ohio. Earning his bachelor's degree in political science, Smith went on to attend law school at the University of Virginia, but not before taking classes right here at the University of Maryland. In what can often be a trying year of transition between college and the postgraduate world, he found respite in learning philosophy and theology from professors who challenged him and whom he believes to this day are some of his most inspirational teachers. After graduating from law school, Smith embarked upon an accomplished career as an attorney in both the public and private sectors. Motivated by his passion for justice under the law and guided by faith, DeMaurice believes his most important undertaking as executive director is to inspire players to be good people both on and off the field. His skills as an attorney have proven invaluable to the players whom he now represents in a labor dispute against the league's owners. Regardless of what side you are on of the issues regarding the NFL and its players, labor and employment issues are at the forefront of economic concerns that are gripping the entire nation. Our college careers have coincided with perhaps the most severe economic recession in recent memory. The challenge of renegotiating a collective bargaining agreement during this time is not one that is being experienced by DeMaurice Smith and the NFL alone, but rather by industries across the nation and even here on this campus. In an economy where employees and business owners must respect the interests of one another, his story is particularly relevant to our graduating class as we enter the competitive job market. Always espousing the Players Association motto of one locker room, one team, Smith has managed to earn the respect of players by accomplishing the challenging task of motivating them toward common action. When he was first elected executive director, Smith traveled to all 32 teams in 75 days in an effort to rally the NFL players behind their new leadership. When he went to Foxborough, Massachusetts, he pulled Tom Brady aside and said, "Tom, before you was a guy named Bledsoe, and after you, there will be 20 more guys who will be quarterbacks of this team. What are you going to do now to make the game better for the future? This game is bigger than just you." This is an important lesson that is relevant to not just Tom Brady, but to every graduate as we begin our journey to explore, expand, and empower our careers and ourselves in order to make this world a better place for those who come after us. Class of 2011, President Lowe, faculty, family, friends, and fellow graduates, please join me in welcoming our commencement speaker, Mr. DeMaurice Smith.
Thank you. I want football too. Good morning. Thank you, Brian, for that introduction. It's an honor to address you, to President Lowe, Chancellor Kerwin, Coach Williams. Coach Williams. the Board of Regents, all the parents, and to the class of 2011, welcome to this glorious day that marks the intersection of our prayerful hopes for you and your rightful and prayerful anticipation for your future. I've got to confess that when I graduated in 1985 for Dominique Foxworth, that was the year after you were born, I don't remember who my graduation or commencement speaker was. I'm sure that they had great words of wisdom. I'm sure that they tried to impart something special to all of us graduates, but I also know that they did not say anything controversial. They did not say anything edgy, and I know that they never said anything offensive. However, I do know that they had me counting down the minutes until they stopped talking. So, for those who have already started to count those minutes, let me assure you of two things. First, in 12 minutes, you're going to get to stand up and bravely step forward into a destiny that only you can make. And second, my promise and my sincere hope is that I will only offend some of you. If I do this right, I will only offend the wrong people. And if I do it really right, my wife will not tell me in the utter phrase that you students know at the end of Rock and Roll Part 2, you let it go. Let it go. That's my hope. During the past 2 years, I have to tell you, I've been blamed by some for approaching the game of football too much like a lawyer. For talking like a lawyer, for acting like a lawyer, for engaging in lawyer tricks. In fact, one Sports Illustrated columnist wrote in the months before the election that I would never be elected to be the executive director of the NFL Players Association because I was a lawyer, and that somehow I would not be able to relate to them. Well, how condescending is that? I mean, come on. So what I have done over the last 2 years, I cut that article out. I keep that article in my wallet. I put that wallet in my hip pocket precisely because I want to keep that columnist extremely close to a very important part of my body, so that every time I sit down, I think of him. In all seriousness, I'm glad that I heard him, because critics will always set mountaintops for you. But I am also thrilled that I listened to my parents years ago who told me that your job is to climb those mountains, and don't let anyone define what your limitations are going to be. Yeah, I dig it. You can clap. They're right there. The reality is, I am a lawyer. But as Brian said, I was here in 1985 and 1986, so I gotta tell you, I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a Terp. Therefore, I must offer both the following legal and Terp disclaimer, because after all, you are who you are, and don't ever apologize for it. So just like any pharmaceutical, be healthier, make stronger, be smarter, run faster, jump higher, hair growth, hair removal, stay awake, put to sleep, enhancement, enlargement, shrinkage, diet, and stamina pill on the market, let me tell you that my remarks today do not reflect those of the University of Maryland. They do not reflect the comments of the state of Maryland. They do not reflect, of course, the views and the beliefs of the great class of 2011. Go ahead, I dig it. You can clap. It is not today intended to offend you or your parents, people you know, people you should know, people who know you, people you might know, or people who you may want to get with. If either by mistake or deliberate choice I say something truly outrageous, I reserve the humble right to disavow it in a heartbeat, to blame it on some representative of the National Football League, and finally to other ACC universities, to other Big East universities in the area, to other local universities in the area, and most importantly, to any university that lost to the Terps this year and who hopefully will lose to them in the future. I mean no offense to you, other than, of course, the losing part. With that, let me commend your men's lacrosse team, your women's lacrosse team, your men's soccer team for their ACC championships. Equally important, that means, of course, that Duke did not win. No, really, it does. It does. Also, I wish to congratulate your field hockey team on their NCAA national championship. And I risk of saying this because I do believe in jinx talk. I wish both of your lacrosse teams the best in the upcoming NCAA tournament. So with that, in just a few minutes, I have now ensured that I will never be invited to those universities. You will note I did not mention a university located in Charlottesville, Virginia. It is, of course, where I went to school, but I don't mention it because I went there. I mention it because that is where my wife went to school, and I'm afraid of her. So, with those offenses behind us and hopefully with only a few ahead of us, let me just simply say there will be few words that you will remember today. But it is my fervent hope that you will remember the emotion of today. It is a milestone in your academic achievement that we mark today by look around you. We surround you with your family. We unite you with your peers. We bring people who have history and connection and tradition with this university because we want to mark this day not only as a physical commencement where you receive your degrees, but we surround you with all of those people because I firmly believe we not only want to mark the tradition of a tremendous university like the University of Maryland, but we also hopefully want to unite you with the emotion and the heartfelt passion of what it means to go to an institution of higher learning and to be a part of a tremendous family. Almost 3 years ago, I became involved in a little process that we call representing the players of the National Football League. There are many people who would like to believe and myopically reduce that my election, their decision for a new leadership after a man named Gene Upshaw had this job for 26 years is to say that, hey, this thing is only about getting a new contract done. But the larger decision in March of 2009 was to stand before them and ask them a simple question. Do we care enough about who we are and who we want to be? Do we care enough about who we are and who we want to be? The decision to pursue, and if necessarily fight for what is fair, was a decision that those players made 2 years ago. And I gotta tell you, it's vastly different from something as simple as shut up and play. That's not the decision that we made. We made the decision to fight for who we were going to be and who we are. I pose that question to our players because it was exactly the same question that my parents posed to me because they are as passionate about life as hopefully one day I will be. If you are ever ever in doubt about the passion of your parents, about their love for you, turn around and look at them today. Because as a father, I have to tell you, I have extreme hopes for my kids, but there is a passion and a love to sacrifice for them that I hope all of you one day can feel. So today, to the class of 2011, I congratulate you. But just for a second, let's congratulate your parents for the love and the hope and the honor. The question of do you truly care enough about who you are and who you would like to become, my hope today is that you will answer that question with an emotional and a passionate yes. Yes. There will be those people, I promise you, there will be lesser people who will attempt to convince you that having a passion and risking failure and believing in something noble is pointless and the pursuit of it is futile. My only advice to you is to reject them. Utterly reject them. Choosing to care enough will always mean that you have to strive harder and demand more for yourself. It will also mean that every now and then you will pick up a mantle and fight for somebody else. I was proud as heck to hear that there were students who were proud enough and passionate enough to decide to sit in outside of your president's office. That's passion to care about somebody else. I'm proud when I am able to look up in the audience and see my parents. And you don't know how proud I am to be one generation removed from a mother who raised herself after the death of her mother, and a father who was one of 14 kids sharecropping another person's land in the Jim Crow South. Well, believe me, I got my share of the walking uphill to school both ways. A lot. But I always remain captivated by the fact that for both of them, the school that sometimes we take for granted was a necessary second to a planning season and work to provide for their siblings and their family. I remain captivated when you understand that the first pair of shoes that my father had were the ones that came courtesy of the United States Marine Corps when he got drafted. Semper Fi. But what provides lasting inspiration, however, is after caring enough to overcome the disadvantages of poverty, they nonetheless chose to overwhelm the prejudices around them and reject the identity that someone else was going to put upon them. Rejecting it not because it wasn't just wrong, but rejecting it because they cared enough not to be labeled, and they had a passion to refuse to be content. And I will forever be thankful that they possessed enough passion and prayer to pray over a spindly 3-year-old son who just so happened one day to get the wrong injection of the wrong drug that should have been fatal, but wasn't. And there will never be a day where I will not be thankful for those prayers and that passion. You too have been blessed not only with the passion of your parents, but you have also been privy to some of the most passionate times our world has been able to deliver. During your years here, you experienced the type of courage and vision in the world that truly does lead to change. Brian talked about coming into this university during the worst economic downfall of our generation. But at the same time, you witnessed the election of a person of color for the first time to the presidency of the United States. All of you, over the last few months, watched democracy bud in an Arab country where everybody up here on this dais, if they were truthful, would say, I never thought I would live to see it. You experienced that as students. As students. Think about the tremendous advantage that gives you in the world. It is because of passion that those things occur. And so it was a thrill to me to read about a University of Maryland senior named May McIver, who in Egypt joined her fellow countrymen and her fellow students to stand up for democracy. And when she was asked about what it was like, she said that it was a passion and a thrill to see people stand up, rising up for fairness, not knowing how the last chapter of the story was going to be written. They had the passion to nonetheless do it themselves. Man, just for a second, imagine a world where that doesn't happen. Imagine a world where those people tell you that you can't win, that you can't succeed, and doing those things because of passion don't matter. Freedom riders don't ride. Children don't march in Birmingham. Young men and women don't have a sit-in at their president's office. And coaches don't devote their entire lives to a passion to win and bring back a passion to a university that so desperately needed it. Those things don't happen without passion. And so I have to tell you, I dig players like Maryland alumni Dominique Foxworth, who's in the stands, because as a young man, the youngest member of our executive committee, he's got a passion to serve his players. I dig guys like Boomer Esiason, a Maryland alumni, who back during a player strike sat down as a star quarterback in front of a bus that was bringing in replacement workers to take their jobs. So for guys like Boomer Esiason, guys like Dominique Foxworth, had they listened to all of those people who would say that you will fail, they lose. But most importantly, we lose. I am proud when all of you believe in the passion of being in a place like Comcast. I have to tell you, before I sit down, I do have to make one more personal thanks. As a student here in 1986, it's hard to believe that was 25 years ago, especially because I'm only 27 years old. During that summer semester that I was here and the 2 semesters after that, the people here, the community at the University of Maryland, all were still feeling a tremendous amount of loss. And I do believe, looking back on it, grieving over the loss of a player named Len Bias. The emotions here ran raw. The feeling of tragedy and loss and painful ache was deeper than even I think that we understood at the time. And I look back on it now and I realize that for a while we not only lost someone like Len, but for a while we also lost our collective passion. There are those who would say that it was just a basketball program that brought it back to us. They would be wrong. Eliot said that it is obvious that we can no more explain a passion to a person who has never experienced it than we can explain light to the blind. Our passion returned because the fervor in a coach who delivered it was matched by the love of a community who craved it. And as a member of this community and as a Terp, thank you, Coach Williams. If you are truly fortunate enough in your lives to witness firsthand the unbridled passion of love for anything, You have an obligation to emulate it and carry it forward to achieve that which is noble for you. As students in the class of 2011, you have been able to witness the passion that comes from being at a tremendous university and the passion of being a group of people together who refuse to lose. And that is something that is truly special. In November 24th, I remember the day that the Terps opened up with the University of Miami. And we had been at a Redskins game earlier that day, and I had my 6-year-old daughter with me, and we left early to race here because it was the first basketball game at a place called Comcast. And I brought my 6-year-old daughter, and we sat right up there, second row to the back, and we watched as this center opened, and then they went ahead and they raised that national championship banner for the first time. And if that wasn't cool enough, as I sat my little daughter on my knee, the band started playing this song. And we know it as Rock and Roll Part 2. And it went on and it went on, and then the fans started to stand up and they started to cheer. And then they got to that part of the song where everybody is feeling tremendous. And I had to explain to my little daughter, why are they saying you suck? And I said, baby, it's because they love. Because they love. So today, with the profound respect of what today is, for one last time, I believe that it's important that every student be able to sit back Come on. Come on. Anybody who believes, keep going, believes that you can't win, the class of 2000 needs to say to them, you what? You suck. For anybody who thinks for 1 minute that passion is something that is cheap and futile, have 2 words for them. You suck. And for anybody who would ever think that it is the wrong thing to do to care so much that you're willing to risk everything because it is right, reserve those 2 words for them. And so for the same reason that I keep a Sports Illustrated columnist in my hip pocket, believe that you have an obligation to be passionate, embrace the passion that you have as students, and from the players of the National Football League to the class of 2011, good luck, Godspeed, and most importantly, go Terps.
DeMaurice, thank you so much for speaking to us today. We really appreciate the opportunity for you to speak to us. And more importantly, we really appreciate that you wanted to speak to us so sincerely. We really appreciate you being here. This is a token of our appreciation. This is a football signed by our new coach, Randy Edsall, and several noteworthy members of our football team. So I'd like to give this to you, but first, go long.
Done. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Blair.